I feel like I should like slide in from the side.
Yep.
We're back. I'm back.
Yay!
Welcome
about
to the
time.
Truth Revival. We have changed times for our show. We've moved ourselves from Sunday at 7 to Wednesdays at 7.
He's in rare form tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
I am in rare form.
Because you've been gone for a month. Been traveling the country and doing all kinds of fun things. We've missed you.
Well, thank you. And my energy's lifted because we're sitting at the table, which you guys can't see, with my future husband, and you guys just met for the actual first time.
I know. It's amazing what FaceTime can do, but this is awesome.
Because you feel him.
I know.
And he's so cute.
Yes.
I know.
Yes. Manny's over there blushing. Yes.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're in a remote location, and the fact that we get to do it together, and we're not socially distanced. Shh, don't tell anybody.
I did bring a mask. You want to wear it?
Mine's better than
I'm
yours.
so over masks, dude. I can't.
I hear you.
So tonight's episode is one that actually kind of came to fruition last week while doing your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just kind of having a conversation around evolving, the evolution of the human and how often we evolve. But it really came down to, I think, something that is a little difficult to talk about for some people, or it is maybe even a little confusing for some people to feel as the evolutioner.
Yeah.
But as somebody who's in the world of somebody that they love who is evolving,
mm-hmm.
not feeling connected with them the same way that they have in the past. What does that feel like as the person who's in transition or in a new version of themselves,
mm-hmm.
as to the people who are receiving this new version of themselves and the contrast between the two?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we kind of talked about our experiences around that and how do you navigate through that? Is it typical? Is it common? So how has that been a part of your evolution? Because you've evolved.
Like,
and especially since you met me, you know what I mean?
Well, before we get started on us, let's take it to the audience. What do we want them to be thinking about and engaging on?
Well, I think at the bottom of the screen, you guys are going to be seeing a question right there. And it was kind of, reflection is always where, I think that the most value in life is always found in reflection, right? Because it's an assessment. It's an assessment of your past. It's an assessment of where you've been and what you've done and how you've affected others, how you felt in certain circumstances. So the question at the bottom of the screen is, over the last decade, can you recall how many times you've evolved to a new version of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you money you can't even recall how many times. One of the things that I've heard before, and I wrote this down, it said, and I loved this so much because it spoke so true to me, was, if you have met me, you should re-meet me again and again and again, because I will never be the exact same person that you met the first time you met me. There's always something evolving. And sometimes evolution, which is what we talked about this morning, sometimes evolution causes for people to experience old ways of being from the past as a measuring unit of what feels right, what doesn't feel right, who do I want to be, who do I not want to be. And sometimes those old behaviors and the assessment is the best way to be able to kind of walk up and down that measuring stick and say, this isn't me. Or, oh, I kind of forgot this version of me and I really liked where I was 10 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that every time, I'm in the world of sales and I sit across the table, or these days through a camera, and I have authentic and genuine and amazing conversations with people. And what I find to be interesting is I'm actually a new version of me after every experience with them. So when I talk to them, when I see them, when I hear their story, what I'm inspired by, what part of their story did I show up in? How can I relate to that part of the story? And then I just feel myself transformed. A mentor of mine, probably 7 years ago, said, Amber, who you are today, because of all the people you'll meet between now and 5 years from now, will make you a completely new version of you. And wow, it was so true. I think that I turn over, every 3 to 5 years probably. in major ways. Like I said, I think every day you're evolving and making ways, but I think I've seen over the last couple some big ones. I know when I first went to Zarvos, that was the very first like mind blowing, like, holy crap, I can create the world I want to live in. And then after that, I got real clear on my spirituality and the type of relationship I wanted to have with God. And man, when you let him in and let him do things in you, you're going to turn over again because he's showing up so loud and so brightly in your soul. You're kind of like a bright light, right?
Yeah. I think, too, in our training, it was the mentality that became instilled in us is what can I bring to this experience? Mm-hmm. What can I bring to this conversation or this person that I'm sitting with? How can I elevate the situation? And, it was very wild to watch everybody in the room have a different experience around that thought, right? Mm-hmm. Mine was, it's not, I'm a talker and I love to share. I love to share what I've learned and what I've read and the people who've influenced my life. But what I learned was that sometimes by elevating the experience the most, it was by not saying anything and just being present with somebody and allowing room for that person to just share their thoughts, share their opinions, and have an opportunity to teach me something. Mm-hmm. And because, much like myself and like you, even when we do these videos and I'm hearing the collective learning experiences that we've had over our lifetimes, mm-hmm. there's a lot of things that become re-solidified or thoughts that become relevant all over again that I haven't thought about or talked about in many, many years. And just in that experience of listening to you speak into something that I'm not speaking into is triggering those parts of me, right? Mm-hmm. So and we have evolved together. I've caused you to evolve, you've caused me to evolve, and everybody that watches the show has caused us to evolve in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And none of us believe that there is anything happens by accident. No, God is perfect.
No. And the people that come into our life is perfect. I want to know hi, Cassie, I love you too. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know, what are some of the biggest reflection moments that you've had from evolving? We want to talk about them live on the show. We're going to share a couple that we have with you, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear, what are some of those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, or the people in our lives, right? When we evolve into the next version of ourselves, sometimes some people don't make it. They don't understand it. They don't get to come along, not because you don't want them in your life anymore, because it doesn't make sense, and it's hurtful and it's hard and heartbreaking. I know that I've gone through that myself in my own life, and I'm a holder on to things. So I'm a collector of people. So when people leave my life, it's super tough because
you take it personally.
I do take it personally.
We all do. I think
I want all the people and I want them in always. And I'm about integration and I'm about inclusivity. And so I feel like in God's world, everybody can come in together and get along and be as one. And in reality, that's just not the case.
Yeah, this is kind of reminding me of a conversation I had yesterday getting my haircut at my studio with this guy named Willie. We were talking about something really, really similar as far as like, it's your life experience is a direct reflection of the way that you choose to see something. Mm-hmm. And when we have people that we love that are so much a part of our life and so much a part of memories and experiences, and you grow love for these people, when you're in a season of the vibration not being in alignment with them, it's kind of our natural human reaction to say, well, screw them, and they just think they're better than everybody. But ultimately what it's causing is a lot of us to be triggered with the feeling of I'm not enough.
Yeah.
And when that feeling is triggered, then I feel like it's hitting really, really deep, and it causes us to almost catapult that energy, that thought into everything in our world, and not an isolated situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? It becomes everything.
What does Jim say? What you focus on expands.
Right.
And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So just don't focus on that. And you're right. When you have energy that's focused on things that are not serving us anymore, what happens? it becomes drama, it becomes a trigger, it becomes a thing, and then it spontaneously combusts, and then you end up crumbling at the bottom of it and going, what happened? How did I even get here? Now, the good news is we're humans and we have brains that can computate and go, you know what? There is an opportunity for reset.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity for me to learn something from this failure or this experience and move it forward, take it forward.
I was just getting ready to say that, Cassie. what you resist persists. That's exactly right.
Mhm.
And so, you know, with that conversation and with that statement that he made during the haircut yesterday, it is very much that mentality. It's easier to cast blame because we don't want to say what's wrong with us.
Mhm.
However, that really is the subconscious trigger feeling, right? Where we can have an opportunity and we're allowed to have the opportunity to say, I've not done anything wrong. They've not done anything wrong. It's just not our season, right?
Mhm.
And, you know, I wrote this down because I felt like, you know, my intuitive, Jennifer Dykstra, I've been meeting with her for almost 15 years. One of the things that she consistently says in my readings with her is every single person is in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It could be the quickest exchange at a grocery store, or it could be somebody who's there with you throughout your life and they are always in your evolution process.
Mhm.
Or sometimes it's a seasonal exchange. I have, you know, and you've heard the age old saying, right? Real friends, it's like time never passed.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how I have a lot of friends that way. And I have a lot of people who I spent a small season with and I never saw them again.
Right.
And you got to be okay with that.
Yes.
You got to be okay with that because we don't want to ever minimize or belittle our greatness.
No.
And when we feel things because we've made the choice to see them in a negative light, we are the cause of the belittling of our greatness, not the person we're in relationship with.
That's right. And that person, the other thing that we learned early in Zarvos is that the elevation of your gifts. So your gifts were created inside of you, uniquely yours and mine and theirs, and they were given to us to be given away. And so it you know, revive, like vice versa, that other person's going to give us their gifts too. That's the evolution of who we are. I'm receiving your gifts, I'm receiving Manny's gifts, my family's gifts, whatever, my friends' gifts, and now I will forever hold a piece of them because they have changed me through those gifts.
Mm-hmm.
When you view it like that, there should not be any, you know, angst about this person walking out of your life because you have served one another to the best of your abilities and you've made memories and you have experiences that have changed you. So, you know, I'm of the mindset these days, especially in the world of COVID, I can't be hanging on to anything or anyone. Nothing belongs to me in this world. You know, I am going to be in the present. I'm going to experience what I experience with the people that I get to experience it with, give and take. And if they choose to move on, that's on them. If I need to move on, that's okay too. You know, down to the point where this is tough because my husband is my everything, right? Like, but I feel dangerously vulnerable when it comes to him because I don't know that I would be able to make it in this life without him. And I've got to get to an okay place to know that I am going to be okay, that tomorrow is not ever promised, and that I'm going to enjoy every second, every moment with this man that I get.
And the remembering of the fact that you were who you were before you met him, and it was who you were that qualified you to create with him what you have today.
That's right.
That means that it was your gift and your power that brought you to a place of having this relationship with him that means so much,
and
right?
Keeping it.
Yeah.
Because the other hard part is evolving inside of a relationship from we are 10 versions of ourselves over in 18 years, right? Like, good Lord. Some days I wonder, like, how did we make it through that? It was a strange time in our lives. But to be able to evolve and accept one another for who we are, you got to have a gift of being able to see inside of who that person is and know that whatever it is that they're going through, it's not who they are, it's just what they're going through.
Yeah, I think it's having emotional elasticity.
Ooh.
You know, it's being able to bend and flow and rubberize yourself inside of relationships to understand that evolving doesn't just happen as the collective whole, it also happens individually. And when you are able to recognize recognize somebody's evolution. I was actually going to say this a minute ago inside of relationships. It's, sometimes in personal relationships, you go away. And then I've had countless experiences where all of a sudden God felt like another season needed to happen. Mm-hmm. And when we realigned with our relationship, our vibration was matching again. And we both had experiences, though they looked different in the physical form, we both had experiences that caused us the same life learning lessons that brought us back together energetically. And then we were sharing on a whole new level, this new evolved part of ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think even in your intimate relationships, emotional elasticity is really important. Absolutely. Because that gives freedom and openness to allow the other person, as well as I know, in some of my intimate relationships, there are also seasons. Sometimes shit feels like spring and sometimes shit feels like fall,
Or winter. Winter is coming. Yeah. For those of you Game of Thrones fans.
So the next question that I wrote down, one, be thinking about your past experiences over the last decade. And just you don't even have to come up with a number, but just kind of remember the different versions of yourselves. And try to just think about the different versions that you've evolved into over the past decade. Some of you, had babies, lost loved ones, got married, were in traumatic experiences. Some of them were really loving experiences, so just think about all these things that have happened in your life that caused you to have a deeper understanding of your human experience on a soulful level. Mm-hmm. The next question that I wrote down was, what has been your experience during a point of evolving where the energy or relationships with other people no longer fit the newest version of yourself? Look at those relationships and those experiences and try to think about how your human mind decided to process. Were we casting blame, or were we internalizing some of these things? I know for me in my past, and even recently, I'm not going to lie, it was much easier for me to emotionally be okay, not wanting to cry, and that's a big weakness for me. It was much easier for me to cast blame and cast judgment. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say that over the years and having these experiences, what Gabby Bernstein says, your bounce back, your comeback becomes faster and faster and faster. I do believe personally that my comeback is faster. Mm-hmm. So I don't hold on to the grudge. I don't hold on to the anger. I don't hold on to the resentment. And I've had experiences where some of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life give me the newest version of my human experience that I could not imagine not having. Mm-hmm. Where then it's like everything's like, damn, it was actually perfect. Mm-hmm. In all of that pain and all of that confusion, it was actually perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your takeaway is so big.
Right.
Like you're like, oh, so God knows how many times you have to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And he will throw it at you however many times he has to throw it at you. And sometimes it looks like a really big traumatic experience for you to go, oh God, I get it. Right? Like whether it's health, whether it's relationships, whether it's your job.
Yeah.
Be careful. I was just having a conversation on the way over here, like be careful what you wish for, because he'll give you exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You just need to be ready for when he provides it to you. Right?
And sometimes we're not. But what I do know is that even if it comes like a bulldozer, I am perfectly equipped, and God feels I'm perfectly equipped to have the experience. It's time. I may not be ready, but I also believe in myself enough to go into the situation and handle it the right way.
And figure it out.
And I think that's faith in God.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. What else you got on that cute little piece of paper there?
Well, I said all mine. What you got?
I'll roll with it kind of girl. So,
Cassie, if you're watching right now, can you speak into that? I know that you've gone through some stuff. You and I have had personal conversations, if I may. I hope I'm not overstepping a boundary. In your...
She's probably like, oh God.
Well, more so in, her and her husband had a really big transition in their personal relationship when they decided to not be flippant inside of their financial status. So they were never in a hurting position, but they wanted to pay off their home and be completely debt free so that they could then enjoy some of the luxuries of life that they were not able to do so. So they went through this whole training process, and I can't remember what the method is called that they went through to kind of really hone in on their finances, but they learned so much about each other going through the experience. And that is kind of an evolution experience that I'm talking about, because it also then deepened.
Let's make it easy on you, man.
Let's pretend that didn't happen. Deepened their relationship together. And I think through the experience, she saw a newer version of herself. And I think that was in the ability to do something that she had once seen as maybe next to hard, next to impossible.
Cassie's one of the strongest women I know. I just want her to remember that. I love the evolution of our friendship, because we started out.
That had an interesting start.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about myself through that. And she's now one of my besties. So I love you, girl.
Yeah, we're actually having breakfast with her.
Oh, yay.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you get to meet Manny.
Tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Oh, yay.
So maybe she tuned out, maybe she didn't. But either way. Are you sweating?
It is hot in
this
here.
Conversation.
I thought it was you and Manny in here at the same time, passing off that super hot energy. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. But
it's all three of us. Don't downplay yours either. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just think that she said, yeah, I love you. She might kill you tomorrow for sharing her business on the Truth Bible, but we love you anyway. I just think that it's one of those things where I pay attention to it, reflect around it, and be appreciative of who you were and who you are today and where you're headed.
And who has ebbed and flowed in and out of your life.
Yeah.
Who has yet to come, who has been, who's here now. If there's a level of gratitude for the people who consume your world all the time, then I feel like you begin to attract more of that higher energy, more of that higher vibration.
Yeah.
When you are in a negative flow of something, I think you attract the negative.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you attract the things, right? So when you're in abundance, you are abundant. You attract all the good things. When you're in scarcity, then you attract the scarce things and the scarce-minded people. And so pay attention. The other part of it is pay attention to who you're hanging out with, because if you are creating a scenario inside of this evolution of yourself and you don't want it, you might gut check who you're hanging out with. And that is hard. Right? Like, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend your time with. A mentor of mine told me that too. And so what does that mean for you? Are these people elevating you, taking you to the next level, loving on you, giving you what's needed and wanted? And, and making sure that you're not hanging on to old things because it's what you know and because it's what's comfortable. Because that's easy.
I remember being little and my mom being, she would always say to me, you are who your friends are. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not that person. I don't do that. I just like spending time with them. Well, guess what ended up happening? I evolved into the reflection of my friends.
I had teachers in school. Be careful there, Amber. Be careful. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're a good girl. That doesn't look so good. Like, that's not going to work for you.
They do like the Southern hate crime where it's like, bless her heart.
She doesn't know any better. She's just latching on to whoever, loving on all the people and all the things. It's okay. Don't get too caught up is pretty much what they were telling me. So I love this. It has been super fun to have you back.
This was good.
Yeah, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. We hope that you'll join us again next week. You'll be back in LA?
I will be back, yeah.
Yep. back out in Cali. So we'll be doing it remotely.
Yeah. The reason this time shift is happening, for those of you who even care to know, is there were just, with my traveling back and forth between here and California, my travel days were always on Sunday, and I was inevitably having some issues every couple of weeks around the time frame of this. So we adjusted and shifted, and here we are now on Wednesdays at 7 for the Truth Revival.
They're Hot Mess Express. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this with us. We passionately want to bring out the truth in you and in others, and make sure that you are getting all of the information and doing the things to live your best life. You know what? Before we get off, I am going to ask that question. Joshua, what is the Truth Revival to you?
That's a loaded question. For me, it was our relationship wrapped in an experience where it felt like the universe was moving you and I to do something we were afraid of. We were both terrified to do this, and I'm like, why? Because it's so much fun.
I know it's kind of fun.
But I think the Truth Revival is helping the collective whole remember their inner truth in a lot of different modalities. That could be, listening to your God consciousness. That could be watching the world around you. That could be honing into the universe. That could be delving into, the education and the knowledge of the mentors that have come before us. But you and I are such sponges for new knowledge and new information. And I love sharing with people who give us feedback and share their knowledge and their experience. It's honestly an experience around evolving.
I love it. It's the same for me. The Truth Revival is an opportunity for us to bring out the truth in others and to help you get centered on who you really are, your gifts and talents. And if we can bring people on here that are going to inspire and empower and make you think about deeper level things and what really matters to you, then I want to be the facilitator. I want to be the platform that allows for that to happen.
Right, which I love sitting here and gabbing with you, but I think some of the interviews that we've done have been some of my favorite experiences of the past year.
Yes,
yeah.
We have had some badass people on, and we have a ton more to come. So super excited to share their stories and to hopefully make a difference and an impact in all of your lives. So,
and thank you for helping us keep this alive for almost a year.
That's so exciting.
Isn't that crazy?
I know, in like one more month, it'll be a year.
Right.
It's crazy.
All right. Thank you guys so much. If your life is not becoming to you, then you should be coming anew.
Oh. Have a great week. We'll see ya.
You like that?
Yeah, you're cute.